if I didn't say anything, you might not have even realized that I've moved. And I guess if you haven't watched much content of mine recently, maybe this is the first you're hearing of it. I managed to recreate the setup pretty well, I think. And even though I've been here for a couple months now, I finally was just like, oh yeah, I should get the fancy vlog camera setup done now that I've unpacked most of everything. Oh, that was a process. I managed to accumulate so much junk over the last 8 years living at the old house alone with a lot of closet space that I ended up giving away like a sizable percentage of what I moved over here. And what I didn't actually mention when I moved here a couple months ago, and God, it's good to just have the weight off my shoulders and be free, is I was still trying to sell the old house. And for a long time before I had moved here, I had gotten this place and was still trying to sell the old house back since the end of December 22. So pretty much all of 23, about 8 months, 10 months. Now there are a couple people about to comment like, dude, was the house tour like supposed to be an advertisement for you to be able to sell the house or something? No, not at all. It's just a lot of people had asked for house tours over the years. I never wanted to do it for good reason. And finally, as I was actually just moving my stuff out, I was like, okay, well, before it's no longer my house and it's all staged and everything, I might as well just do the tour. But, and man, I can finally talk about this after 8 years, even though so many people are aware of it. It was always just to like ignore it, don't bring attention to it, don't comment it, and that's the best course of action I can possibly do. And that is that when I got the house, right, like several weeks later, I receive an email from my mom, and my mom says, have you seen this article? And it's on a website that talks about like celebrity real estate, and it's about me purchasing the house. And I'm like, what the frick is this? My mom is the first person to inform me of this. I'm like, what? Anyway, even though in today's age now of, you know, YouTubers buying $10, $20 million houses, and those are the things that get press coverage, back when I bought my old house, that was like the big thing. And it got picked up by just like every news media outlet imaginable, like even PC Gamer. Like, what you guys don't do real estate list, what? But they made an exception for Notch's house, and then for some reason, a little next to Notch's house, my house. So for the last 8 years, I have this cardinal rule of don't do things that draw attention to the house, right? And that includes saying, oh, I'm trying to sell it, or oh, I'm moving out and still trying to sell it, because that then says, oh, it's unoccupied. And if people are interested, they can just look the thing up super easily. And God, that just weighed on me for such a long time. Add to the fact that I'm double mortgaging for quite a lot of the year, which was not particularly comfortable, because I was like, how long could it take for someone to be interested and buy the house? It couldn't take that long. Well, that was famous last words. What I should have done, hindsight's 2020, of course, but if I had just listed initially at a slightly lower price and I had immediately just moved out, gone into a rental, staged the place, it probably would have gone almost immediately, much, much quicker. But I'm kind of a paranoid person, which I'm sure you're getting at this point. But I was like, no, I'd rather be there, because A, if I have to go to rental, I got to move a bunch of stuff out, put stuff in storage. It might not all fit in the rental apartment that I'm going to get. And also, God forbid, what if something, breaks while I'm not at the house to monitor it? Something with water or a pipe breaks, like why would that ever happen? And it didn't, obviously. But I'm just paranoid. I'd prefer to be there to be able to catch it. And so I'm like, no, I'll stay there. We'll list and try to sell while I'm still living at the house. And then a few months later, the road down the street, because of heavy, heavy rains the past winter, it kind of washed away. The road was closed. People had to detour, the crazy detour to get to the house. That definitely didn't help. Interest rates are rising like crazy. And it's just like, oh, yeah, this has not gone very well, has it? Oops. Should have just staged and listed immediately. So anyway, made it all the way to August before it was finally like, okay, I'll move out. I'll go to the new place. My realtor must have just been finally God dang, it took him. He had the other house. He just didn't want to move there. I can't believe this guy got a stage this ages ago. Finally, I'd move out. We stage it. And staging must have made a big difference because it was in like the first couple of showings. We got an offer, and I took a bath. I got hosed, but it's and maybe you could say, oh, do you overpay for it when you got it initially? And I mean, everything is subjective, right? A lot of people would look at it and be like, oh, it's hideous. I would never buy it in a million years. Why would someone pay that? But if you look at other comps, houses around mine in the same area, it's like the same story. Peak 2015 and a lot of down sales ever since, which is like the exact opposite of nearly everywhere else in the country. But, you know, a little Schadenfreude out there. Not everyone made out like a bandit who did buy a house beforehand. But anyway, it's at this point I'm just happy that it's in the rear view because double mortgaging wasn't fun. It was kind of weighing on me in the back, but like I couldn't talk about it because it would draw attention to it and break my cardinal rule of don't do that. So it's just like I'm free. A weight has been lifted, and it now finally feels like because the old house is sold, like now this is a new home. I'm fully in with both feet. I got to take some of the remaining furniture and paintings that were still at the old house while it was still staged. Now they're over here, hung a bunch of stuff up over the last week, so it feels like a home. My other furniture is over here now, so it looks again more like a home. And it's I mean, again, it didn't necessarily directly impact content in terms of my schedule and being busy other than the days of actually moving, but it was just always something that was there in the back of my mind, something that I would be thinking about. You know, I'd be in the middle of a recording maybe, and then I'd see a message on my phone, something related to doing a tour or, you know, the in-progress escrow over the last month or so. And it would just, you know, just something to always take me out of the moment and kind of weigh on me, which does impact just your personality coming through in the content. And so I just feel now like I'm in a much better place, and finally I can say why, if there was anything that seemed like maybe it was weighing on me over the last 10 months, that might have been it. And now I can actually talk about it. So it's just it feels good to be at the new place, have the camera set up. That was like the final ingredient of the setup that was actually missing. I do need to get a proper desk because I nudge this thing and it shakes like an earthquake. It's like $100 Amazon desk and it's done the trick just fine. But like you see things wobbling in the content. So I have to sort that out and, you know, get some of the foam panels hung up on the wall. I started that yesterday. But at least it's now feels good. Feels very nice because, man, I'll tell you, double mortgaging, not very fun. And I honestly... if I had known how much of a bath I was going to take on selling the old house, I don't even know if I'd have done it all. I might have just stayed there in the first place and not gone through with it all. But having had it go the way it did in the future, if I'm ever getting out of here, it's going to be probably to a rental apartment or something like that. I'm just over the hassle that's involved with real estate as a whole. And I'm a person who really dislikes overhead. And so I think my outlook is very different from most people's. I just don't like the maintenance and stuff that comes along with home ownership, even though I've been doing it. So I'd be happy to just get rid of that in the future, to be completely honest. Have less things to worry about, you know? I don't know how people have multiple homes. I would be just stressed out beyond belief, but, you know, I tend to be a more stressing person. But yeah, it's, I just thought I'd talk about, you know, life and now that I'm, I don't know, feeling a little bit more like a weight's been lifted, and I thought I'd get a vlog out in the fancy format. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully content will be much lighter and more waitlists or something like that in the future. And I'll catch you later.